when I entered this hall, I was, given one colorful handout by a gentleman, and I quickly scanned that. And I'll read out a few numbers from there just as a warm-up. So the total mobile internet users is 214 million as we speak, 135 million on 2G, 75 million on 3G, 284 million 3G subscribers in India by 2017. Urban wireless teledensity has reached 140%. And in rural India, we have 53 million mobile internet users. India is the third highest in app downloads in the world and is quickly kind of headed to become the second most country in terms of app downloads. So we all know that kind of mobile is a part of our lives. One more thing which I think is very interesting, and just to set the tone, I want to say is micro moments, which are becoming very, very important now. How we kind of share all the moments which kind of happen out of a surprise or planned, and in that context, how social media has kind of become bigger, and especially on the mobile. A lot of companies are, digesting this data in reams and reams, and today we have like crazy data. If I were to give you an example of a company, Flurry. Flurry is a mobile analytics company which also serves ads, is present in 1.6 billion devices in the world. They study user behavior from 7 apps in each device. And they are present across thousands of, close to 1 million in terms of apps are there on Flurry. So what do we do with all this data? So much is happening on the mobile space. So while the topic is how are marketers preparing for a mobile-first world, before we kind of quickly go to the panelists, my question is, are marketers preparing at all for a mobile-first world, or is it an afterthought? So we'll do a quick show of hands of people who think that indeed marketers or brands are preparing for a mobile-first world. Who think yes? I see just a few hands. So that means there is so much more to do in terms of that. And on that note, I would ask the same question to the two panelists. So we'll start with Harsh. So what do you think? Are marketers preparing for the mobile-first world, and how?
The audience spoke. So yeah, so I've been a marketer. I'm now a media salesman. As some of the friends sitting here know, I'm selling mobile video. I have the opportunity of playing all the sides and being, as I call myself, a gyani of sorts. It's because I still want to be learning. But I think, a lot of interactions over the last 1.5 years with brands and agencies. I'm not talking digital agencies, that's a bread and butter. The mobile agencies know I'm directly talking to brands, and I think it's an afterthought, because at times I've heard, Harsh, kuch karna hai mobile pe. I mean, so it's coming from more of that sort. But there are brands, there are people who are thinking mobile because they're thinking customer, and the customer is there. So I've seen, all of us, we know some of those names, and they vary across industries from FMCG to telecom. I mean, we had to be there. So that's a given. And even, a lot of campaigns, a lot of integrated campaigns which have been coming out, but largely speaking, I don't think it's more sitting as an afterthought, Gurmeet. It's more sitting as that, let's do something, put something there. But the good news that I feel is that that's a starting point, and the buzz is happening. US is China, as Neeraj pointed out. I mean, these are the markets which have been leading in all kinds of trends for India. So, I mean, US, for example, I don't like to talk numbers, but some numbers are interesting, that digital overall is broadly equaling TV out there. 75% of TV and mobile is equal of large screen. Just mobile is half of the overall digital. Whereas here it is, what, 8, 9% of total spends,
That's true.
and of that mobile is another, is like less than 10%, so approximately less than 1%. And my belief is most of it gets flown from digital to mobile. The brand does not even know that it's going into mobile. And so the strategic part, I think it's yet to happen.
Ashok, what's your view?
Okay, I think the audience's answer was incorrect because they kind of thought the question was loaded and they had to, answer that way, because I've been a marketer, I've been agency side, and I think every marketer, every brand, every agency is talking mobile. It's not an afterthought, it's their first thought, but it's a checkbox. Do we have an M.dot site? Are we doing mobile search? Do we have a mobile app? So it stops with tactics. It's certainly not integrated into a digital strategy. Like you said, sometimes you do mobile search, but you actually think you're doing search. You don't know what goes to mobile. It's certainly not integrated into marketing strategy and far away from being integrated into business strategy. So that's, I think, the scenario today in India.
So Ashok, you have the consumer at one end and you have the brand at the other end, and we've seen panelists, who passionately spoken about, consumers, and then of course there is the brand, and between the brand and the consumer there is device, let's say the mobile, which we are here to discuss about, and then there is content. So what do you think, Ashok, is the bridge between all of them?
Okay, so it's a good point we make. We think of consumer because it's about the consumer. It's not about the device. It's not about the tactics. It's about the consumer. And a couple of interesting consumer trends, consumer behaviors, which play a big role, and for us as marketers to be cognizant of. It's not about always on consumers and always on brands. That's a function of time. What is happening now is that consumers on the go who are expecting brands to be on the go. Because of the device, the consumer is expecting to be able to interact with a brand in whatever manner he wants, whenever he wants, and however he wants it. So I call it like the new www is not World Wide Web. It's whatever, whenever, whoever wants to reach you. And that's one context. The other context is not about the device or technology, again about consumers. The propensity to want to express, want to share, want to interact is far higher now, and devices, platforms, networks are enablers. So in that context, if we kind of say, what does a brand have to do to actually address this new consumer need? And it's not about native advertising. It's not about, do I have an app or do I have a mobile site or is it optimized for mobile? Today, retail is changing because of consumers on the go. Technologies are allowing brands to talk to consumers in the context of their shopping experience. And while we digital folks at events like this like to believe the world is on digital, the world is on social media, the reality of most brands is still on ground, far away from digital, and it's about how devices, technology platforms can connect brands with consumers in their context, where they are, when they want it, in the manner they want.
So Harsh, you had one of the most fantastic brands in the mobile space. So how do you kind of bridge this entire piece, between the device, the consumer, the content, and therefore the brand?
Gurmit, so this is an easy one for a brand which is in telecom space, because we've been talking to consumers, first of all selling the services, our access network, 1995 onwards to, we understand ecosystem play, we understand partnerships. So, okay, as coming back to our own brand, the Tata Docomo, we took a strategic call of connecting with consumers early on, and we have had a very specific digital strategy, social media strategy. As I mean, we have occupied that space for quite some time as the most connected telecom player, and we have been engaging with customers. So it's about taking, I think it's about taking a punt on something at when we did, and even today for most of the people. But it's, as Ashok was saying, it's about putting it into a business strategy as, is this one more way, is this an important and the most important, one of the most important ways that I'm going to start listening to consumers, because it's giving me real-time interactivity. And we realize that this medium of digital, social, online, mobile, as you may want to call it, all of it is, it's a two-way interaction which no other medium was ever giving, where I can give my brand message without, I mean, so far, if I didn't want to dilute my brand messaging, I went to TV and outdoors, but that was one way. Or if I want to start conversations, I go put up jeans and sneaker-clad teenagers in the mall, but the brand messaging is diluted, but this is a fantastic medium, and that's how we saw it. We said that we're going to take a serious, put serious investments and serious inputs behind all this. So I think it's coming from consumer first and seeing that, yes, if they are there, this is an enabling tool for us.
Okay, let me get a little more specific. So we all know in the mobile space, 88% of the attention is actually into apps, right? And in India, this year, we are expecting about 9 billion apps to be downloaded. So virtually, the entire mobile space is kind of getting appified in a way. So how are marketers preparing for that? How do you get apps into your strategy, Ashok?
Okay, so of course the checkbox method is let's build an app. Then someone will say let's get the downloads. Then they realize there's no use. No one's actually visiting the app, because till an app passes the, I think Google called it the Colgate toothpaste test. If you don't use an app twice a day, you forget it's on your phone. So the wonderful numbers of apps on Indian mobile phones is one thing, but the actual use is the other. So it's really, again, appifying the context of the consumer and not the context of the brand. If consumers want to consume certain things, if brands are able to enable that, and in that enablement, build a connector with the brand, relevant connector, then they have something going for them. So if you're American Express and they allow you to check your flight timings and they help you book cabs and that, because they say when you're traveling on business, you need these facilities, you also need to swipe your credit card somewhere. So there's a context of the user and a relevant brand context. But you simply build an app and say, look, here's something I want to sell you. You're going to be putting off people. And just as people would shut a web page, they just don't use the app. So it's not about the app from a brand perspective. It's about what can you curate, what can you bring the consumer that he or she wants to visit often. Can you be the enabler? Of course, it moves away from a tactical campaign saying, why would I do this? How many impressions of my ad am I getting? How many click-throughs to brand.com am I getting? It needs a more mature, longer-term view than build an app, get the download, run a promotion, give it away free. I've seen promotions on social media that actually were running a contest recently with Q&A saying, download our app to find the answer. Till someone said, I can go to your brand.com, I can go to Google and find the answer. But the tactic that someone suggested was, here's a way we'll get them to download the app by giving them a prize, which is very, it's just defeating right off the bat.
What do you think, Harsh?
Apologies if any of the marketers behind that campaign are in this room. It's very recent.
So you have,
Yeah,
what's
no,
your
I mean,
point of view?
so I'll take, I completely agree, and where my mind was also going back. So uh, I'm a telecom guy finally. I mean, I've spent 10 years in selling regular telecom. This is the same thing that you can throw money and acquire customers. I mean, how do you ensure usage and retention? And that comes from the core product and core understanding of the consumer. And how do you continuously enrich that person's life? So I completely agree with Ashok that I think it's time that there's one part that do brands need to amplify themselves? It's a different question. If it fits into your strategy, fine. If you have stories to tell on an ongoing basis, fine. If not, you know where you might be going to. But even otherwise, the people who have continued stories, which are standalone businesses wanting to create something, and if they don't have a story on a daily basis to relate, where consumers can relate to, and they just go for acquisition sprees, that's what is going to happen. Yeah.
So sorry.
Yeah, just adding on the amplifying bit. So, you know, if you watch IPL on Hotstar, are you watching it on a Sony broadcast on Hotstar? Are you watching it on a Hotstar stream? Are you watching it on mobile? Are you watching it on television? So that's something to think of as well, right? There's complete convergence. So the device in your hand is actually watching a television telecast, or is it a mobile telecast? Is it an app telecast? Questions to think about as marketers.
So let me put the publisher hat, if you allow me to ask you, how can brands use, apps in terms of advertising? So while, one is, the app for the brand, which we kind of spoke about, what about, vehicle as a vehicle for advertising? You have a point of view on that?
I think, again, it's the context. Just as we advertised on television programs and certain brands advertise on Saas Bahu programs, certain brands advertise on action programs if it suits the brand personality. I think it's understanding that connector. And there's no harm in advertising on an app if that's where you think you can reach your consumer in a meaningful manner. But certainly intrusive advertising, popovers, forced advertising, blatant brand placements, are kind of passé, and mature brands, mature marketers will be advised not to go that way, because guess what? Regardless of what you think, consumer is very, very smart and very, very mature.
Absolutely right. I would also like to, add in the same breath that, with all due respect to the consumer, how do we kind of make advertising? Now the entire trend is how do you make advertising more subtle? So we've seen the advent of native ads in advertising. So you have a uniform reading experience or usage experience across screens, and native ads are something which are beautifully dovetailed into that. And we've seen a lot of good response coming out of native, which is one big development. Another thing that comes to my mind, and both of you are such experienced and reputed marketers, is what are the challenges you face vis-a-vis using mobile in your day-to-day job in terms of marketing brands?
So I'll kind of step back and wear the hat of marketers in general. I think it's getting beyond the initial checkboxes. I've done an brand.com. I've cracked it. Why are my sales not going up? Or I have an app. Why are there no sales? So I think the first challenge to overcome is to realize that this is a device. It's a channel. It's a platform. You still need to serve the problems of consumers meaningfully. They spend a certain amount of time on the devices. They're not looking for advertising. They're not looking to converse with brands. They're looking to talk to their friends. They're looking to find things faster, cheaper, better. They're looking to be better themselves. When brands understand that, then they would sort of be using the channel, using the network, using the data behind it, using interlinkages between what's on mobile, what's in social stream, and what's offline in CRM stream meaningfully. So we've seen brands even integrating that. At one point, if you tweeted that a flight was delayed, you got a tweet back saying, we'll look into it. I did that with an airline recently, and I got a tweet back saying, this incoming flight from Delhi was delayed because they went and checked my Twitter profile against their passenger details, realized that at that hour I must have been at a certain airport. So meaningfully integrating stuff, serving the purpose of consumers. Again and again, it's about the consumer, not about the brand. Cool is what works for the consumer. Cool is not what wins you an award at the next digital award show. Or this evening.
Harsh, what are the challenges you face as a marketer on mobile?
Okay, I think Ashok has very nicely put it as from the marketer's hat. And I have played roles on both sides as a marketer, as a media sales guy. Right now, that's what I'm doing. Somewhere I assume that I have some understanding of what the challenges from both the sides. Actually, now I'm talking from a publisher standpoint. We, the publishing community, or asking for those advert marketing dollars, have maybe also confused the hell out of the marketeers. We keep throwing jargons every now and then. We have positioned mobile as a fantastic performance medium, maybe underplaying that it's a medium, it's a channel where you can actually connect to consumers in very many ways and build brands and build your positioning, give integrated experiences, the experience that Ashok was talking of. I mean, how can you expect ROI of that experience at that point of time? It's going to come the experience that you give. So somewhere the positioning, all of us we have done, perhaps that's creating a challenge in the heads of marketeers. And I switch back to that marketeer hat that, and every now and then if someone keeps coming up with a new jargon, which the marketeer is trying to, grapple with. The second one that I see is somewhere the measurement is, okay, we are a nascent industry, so to say, in India at least, but not so much otherwise globally. But the measurement systems, streamlining all of that all of us, we understand that same language. The measurement system still not going fine. And third, I think the most important one, it's not got into the brand managers' KRAs and KPIs. There is no measurement which is reflected in there. There are ITPs and TOMAs which can come from anywhere, and that's what I drive. So I think these are the...
I think that's quite an honest admission. Yeah. So anyways, what I kind of, to conclude, what I think is, we have both the panelists here who are like thoroughly consumer-centric, which is good to be. We could kind of go on and talk more about it, but, I would rather, in the interest of time, kind of open it up to the house. And we've got like 2 reputed marketers here, so it's a good opportunity for the house to kind of ask questions. So,
and you yourself too.
Thank you. So, yes, if the audience is not too sleepy, can you ask some questions? Oh, yep. Can we get a mic here?
I do not agree with Hugh being advertisement on mobile platform being a pass. I suggest that advertising smart makes a difference, rather. So what is advertising smartly is you either have an ad playing where people would love to see that, at the same time interact with the ad. You could have some things, you offer them some gifts, you offer them some freebies. This is the way you would advertise smartly. What do you think about it?
I don't agree. If success is interacting with the app, please go ahead. If success is increasing sales in Jhumri Talaiya, then interacting with the app is doing nothing to it. It's not smart advertising. So smart advertising is advertising that serves the larger business purpose of the brand. And the challenge is integrating in-stream data with marketing metrics, with business objectives, and finding that balance really as marketers. So what's the value of a like 10,000 views trending hashtag on Twitter to a 2% increase in sales, or is there a correlation at all?
Okay, so thank you everybody. It is good to be given the opportunity to, have a chat in front of you. And thanks for being a good audience. Thank you.